get started with it. So introduction to AI-assisted development. Here we'll try to understand how AI-assisted development works. At the end of the session, you will understand fundamentals of AI-assisted development and how Microsoft Copilot can accelerate daily development tasks. We'll explore some of the practical use cases and discuss security implications and learn how effectively you can use AI for your development workflows. As you can see now on my screen, the first thing that we'll discuss here is to understand AI-assisted development concept, then Microsoft Copilot capabilities, prompt engineering techniques, live coding scenarios. I'll give you a small scenario where I'll generate a code using Copilot. I'll be using two tools, by the way. Number one, Microsoft Copilot, which is a generic tool you can use for learning and question and answer kind of thing. And we also have another Copilot, GitHub Copilot for integration with IDE. Okay, we'll discuss that later, how Copilot ecosystem basically work and how they are different. We'll also try to understand security and compliances and best practices for AI-assisted coding. So what is AI-assisted development? Using generative AI to help in our software development task. Now, to understand it better, let's try to evaluate the history a little bit. Earlier, developers used plain text editor to develop or build their application. Early developers use plain text editors. And later, we started using smart IDEs. There were developers who used to write their code in Notepad or VI, and then we started using IDEs like Visual Studio, Eclipse, and all that. IDE, Integrated Development Environment, made it easier for a developer to concentrate on coding. Okay, and rest of the things are handled by IDE. How many of you are developer, by the way? Just wanted to ask a question. Yes? Okay, so we have quite few developers here. Yeah. So you know what? As a developer, if somebody asks you, like, every time you want to compile your project, you have to go back to a command prompt and write a command to do that. Every time you want to run a test case, go and run a command. Every time you want to build an application into an exe file, use this command to do that. We don't like this, right? Most of the IDEs provide ready-made buttons and keyboard shortcuts. F5 to build and run, for example, right? So AI is similar to that, or maybe AI is like a next thing now. Lot of your day-to-day activities, your boilerplate code, documentation, or explaining existing code, there are several use cases that I'll discuss with you later on. So AI is there to support your overall software development task, and its main objective is, actually there are few objectives. First objective is to increase the productivity. You should be able to build better software in lesser time. Okay, that is improvement of productivity. And number two, to improve your code quality. And number three, to make it possible for developers to learn newer languages, newer frameworks, or newer techniques faster. So what AI can do here? AI can generate code from the natural language prompt. You can ask AI to write something, and AI will do that. You will ask AI, hey, generate a code that will find a prime number, or that will check whether given number is prime. Specify the programming language, and AI can do that for you in given programming language. If you are learning a new programming language, you can ask AI, hey, AI, can you explain me an example with example, how concurrency works in Java, right? Or how async methods work in C#.NET. AI will generate a code and explain the things to you. AI can be used in debugging and testing, right? How many of you have used stackoverflow.com? Do you know the website Stack Overflow? It's mostly used by developers to post their coding related issues. People literally put their error messages there with screenshot or error log and ask for other people for help. Okay. And you don't need to copy and paste your code on internet forum, random internet forum, and demand strangers to fix your queries, right? And wait for several months or maybe years for answer. No need to do that. You have an AI tool, you have a Copilot with you. Go and ask Copilot, Copilot help me in fixing this error, or Copilot help me in understanding this error. Okay, help me how I should debug it. And Copilot will help you with that. Improve developer productivity. You are a developer, but even if you are a developer, there is part of code that looks little boring, right? You can ask Copilot to generate some part of your code, the boring stuff. Okay. You were working on a project and let's say you were assigned a different project and you don't understand few things inside that project. You can select the code and ask Copilot, hey, Copilot, just help me understand this bit of an existing code. You want to do something repeatedly, ask Copilot to do that. Or ask whatever AI tool you might be using, ask your AI tool to do that repetitive task on your behalf. Actually, when you say repetitive task, it's more an example of an automation, right? Okay. And AI can do that, or AI can generate automation script for you. So AI assisted development refers to leveraging artificial intelligence tools to help developers throughout the software development lifecycle. And instead of writing every line manually, developer can now describe the requirements in plain English and receive the code suggestions, test cases, documentation, or even troubleshooting assistance. Please remember here, the goal is not to replace the developers, but to augment their capabilities. Now, evolution of software development, I guess I already told you about this. Earlier, we had manual coding. Earlier developers, 40 years back, 30, 40 years back, used to write code in a plain text editors. Then we got IDE, integrated development environment, who can, help you with writing your code. Okay, so those who have used something like Visual Studio, if you go to Visual Studio now and click on create new project, you get several project templates out there. Visual Studio now can create several project templates. You have console application, desktop application, web application, so many different templates are there. Rather, I was talking with one of the .NET developer back then, and he was like, there are so many choices .NET Visual Studio gives us. And I asked him, like, why don't, while installing Visual Studio, you choose fewer options there? When you install Visual Studio and IDE, it presents you multiple options, like, are you planning to use this Visual Studio installation for these type of development? If you select all, you get too many choices while creating a project. So IDE help you up to a certain extent. You have automated testing tools. Do you know that manual testing is already dead? Nobody does manual testing anymore. It's done only when you are learning testing. It's all automated now. Even DevOps workflows are automated now. Building an application, running the continuous test, delivery, deployment, everything automated. Okay, so it is natural now that it will have AI involved at many stages, right? And it will further, you will increase the productivity overall, you will increase the code quality, and at the same time, decrease the amount of time it is needed, right? So software development is now moving next with AI. So what we can do, we can generate code faster. Earlier, developers used to spend several hours in building something. Now, same thing, which took several hours in manual approach, right? We can write such code faster using AI. We can improve code quality with AI. Now, this is one of my personal favorite feature, right? Even I don't actually use AI in writing code, but I do use AI to review my own code. Yes, to give you an example, a tool called GitHub Copilot. it has a feature called code review using GitHub Copilot, using AI. So I write my code and I ask Copilot, hey, Copilot, help me review my code and tell me if this code requires any kind of revision, any kind of refactoring. And then Copilot will go and read my code and give me some suggestions. Yes, that is code quality improvement. Accelerated or onboarding. There was a developer once who had no experience in building Spring project, but had enough experience in Java EE, Java Enterprise Edition. Using Copilot, right? Copilot will help this particular person to learn Spring framework or any new framework, right? Much faster and start writing code much faster. But assumed, one presumption, one prerequisite, you should at least have your foundations, right? Copilot can teach people how to use Spring framework, provided they already know Java, the language, right? Which is being used to write a code. Okay. So if you have a better foundation, learning about new framework, new libraries becomes much easier with Copilot or with AI in general. It even generates better documentation for you. Let me give you an example. Do you know that almost every programming language has some way of writing documentation code? To give you an example, a Java documentation comment, it's supposed to be written like this. Do you know that? This is how you write documentation comment in Java. Any Java developers here? Anybody here who uses Java for development? No? Okay, great. This is how you are supposed to write documentation comments in Java. In C Sharp, documentation comment need to be XML. They need to be XML docs. You will be using some kind of XML-like syntax to describe everything. Actually, there is nothing called Angular bracket XML doc inside it. It's more like you will add a description about a method here. Okay, I don't remember what exactly we put here inside those Angular bracket, but it is mostly XML type. Python, on the other hand, do you know how do you write documentation comments in Python? This is how documentation comments are written in Python. And guess what? If you ask your developers, right, whatever piece of code you have written, please add documentation comment or please properly document your code. And guess what? Many a times, your developers, because they have limited time available with them, they'll either skip it or they'll be like, okay, I'll do it later. And that later never comes. And even if they put documentation, the documentation is incomplete or doesn't actually follow best practices. You can ask AI to generate documentation as well. Reduce development effort. Copilot or AI in general can help you reduce your overall development effort by moving things faster, doing things faster. And you also have a benefit of faster prototyping. Okay, so rapid prototyping, reducing overall project timelines, right? Improving a code quality. These are the benefits of AI assisted development. So common use cases now. AI can generate code. AI can explain the code to you. AI can generate unit test. AI can refactor the suggestions. AI can generate documentation. AI can identify bugs, right? And not just code. AI can actually generate even SQL queries. By the way, AI is not just limited to generating SQL queries. AI can do a lot other things as well. Now here, we are talking about an AI tool. Let's use Microsoft Copilot. Here it is. I have this Microsoft Copilot right now with me. And wait a second. This is the desktop interface for it. Okay. I already have logged in into my Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. I hope the desktop environment is visible to you. I have already logged in with my Outlook account and I can just start interacting with it. There is a small text panel where I can ask my prompt or where I can put my prompt and it will start explaining everything to me. And guess what? This Copilot already has access to all my local documents as well. Anyways, let's say I want Copilot to explain me something, right? Or help me write some piece of code. Okay, I can ask, like, for example, generate SQL DTL, oh, sorry, SQL queries for creating following tables. And let me explain the table structure to it. Let's say, for example, employees table should have properties EMP ID, first name, last name, and job, or let's say designation. Okay. After that, we need a department table, and department table should have DPT ID and let's say name of the department, right? And its location. After I press enter, now this is my prompt. After I press enter, my AI tool, Copilot, is generating a code for me. And did you notice it has generated a proper SQL code for me? Notice that? And guess what? Copilot is not just generating this code for me, but it's also explaining it to me. Like Copilot has assumed that employee ID will be the primary key, right? Okay, because it is unique and acts as a identifier. And also for department, it has assumed that department ID should be the primary key. You can see it's explaining why it is using varchar. So if you are a developer working with a bit of code, you can ask Copilot to generate a code, or you can even ask Copilot to explain that code for you. Okay. Now, is it possible to refactor the code? Yes, I can ask Copilot to refactor it. Like, for example, refactor this SQL to work with, let's say, I want this particular queries to work with MS SQL Server 2019. Or it can just check whether these queries are already compatible with SQL Server 2019. So you will notice one thing. Now, it doesn't matter whether you know SQL or not, but you will notice quite few differences. Did you notice instead of varchar, it's using nvarchar, right? Nvarchar is a type available in SQL Server. And not just that, it is even explaining me why it has made those changes. So things that used to take longer time earlier, like being a developer, you are trying to work on a new framework, new technology, and you just spend some time in learning about it. You can now ask your AI tool a direct question about that. Can generate code, can explain you code. It will even generate the unit test. It will refactor, like your existing code is compatible with Oracle database. You want it to refactor with MS SQL. You can do that. Yes. So what is Microsoft Copilot? Please remember, Microsoft has multiple different tools and they call them all Copilot. Like there is Microsoft Copilot, the one that I'm using right now. Now, this is a generic tool. You can install Microsoft Copilot for Windows and you can ask it generic questions, ask it for, let's say, uh, kind of uh, a Q&A session, generate code, okay, or even generate a script sometimes, okay, generate a PowerShell script, Bash shell script, okay, SQL queries or Java code, .NET code, something like that. You can ask generic questions with it. Then there is another tool, which is GitHub Copilot. GitHub Copilot is a tool that you can directly use from your IDE, Integrated Development Environment, like Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. And GitHub Copilot is actually designed for developers, whereas Copilot is a generic tool. Copilot is generic. You can use it for development, but it's not designed specifically for development. It is all-rounder. This Copilot over here is an all-rounder tool. Ask any questions and it will help me. Like, for example, in, let's say, direct fight between King Cobra and Python, who always wins? I can ask a generic question like this to Copilot, and Copilot will answer that as well. It's not just for developers. That's what my point is. And it is already explaining me this between two different reptiles. See this? And it does remember your previous interactions. Now let's ask another question to it. I am Python phobic. Help me to overcome my fear of Python. Let's see how Copilot will take this question now. Now, remember one thing, my previous question was about Python and King Cobra. And now I'm saying I have a Python phobia. Help me recover from it. And now Copilot just assumed that I'm talking about the reptiles. Can I ask Copilot to just refactor it? No. I am. Okay. No. I have fear of Python, the language, not the reptiles. Now, yes, got it. Thanks for clarifying. You mean Python for programming language, not the reptile. Okay, so now it's giving me this guide. Yes, it's creating a kind of a plan for me to how to, learn Python and how not to be afraid of its coding syntax and all that. So that all Copilot can do. Copilot is generic tool. Whereas GitHub Copilot, you don't launch GitHub Copilot the way you launch Microsoft Copilot. GitHub Copilot is sitting inside Visual Studio, right? GitHub Copilot is sitting inside Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio as a kind of a plugin. So let me do one thing. Wait a second. Let me open Copilot, VS Code with a blank workspace. Here is my VS Code. And you will notice inside VS Code, I can have now this Control-Shift-I, and this is my Copilot, GitHub Copilot. This is not Microsoft Copilot. This is GitHub Copilot. And I can just ask Copilot any question related to the project which is currently open here. Is that clear? So let's say if I have any kind of a project open here, right? I can ask Copilot, right? I can ask Copilot to write a code for it. Like, for example, let me show you this. This is something I generated 1 week back. These are the steps, manual testing steps. And let me ask Copilot to generate a playwright script for it. And GitHub Copilot will generate a playwright script for this project. It's already done this. You can see this is the code written in JavaScript. It's using a framework called Playwright right now to generate the test cases. So GitHub Copilot is a developer tool. Microsoft Copilot is a generic tool. But there are few things common. Natural language interaction. You can ask questions in a human language. You can ask context-aware suggestions. Okay, like you are currently talking about, let's say, questions about some kind of animals, and then next you write a next prompt. It will take the context. It will take your previous interaction, and it will assume that you are talking question. Your question is related to the previous interaction. If you use something like GitHub Copilot, it will understand what kind of project is currently open, what files are open, and based on that, it will generate the given suggestion. It also has support for multiple programming languages. So right now, Copilot and GitHub Copilot both, they understand languages like Java, Python. You can even ask Copilot a question. How many programming languages do you know? So Copilot is saying, I don't have any fixed number of languages, right? But these are the languages it does support. Notice that? C, C++, Rust, assembly, JavaScript, TypeScript, even PHP, the classic web stack. Golang, Python, Erlang, almost everything is covered, right? Yes. Now, so what is the current ecosystem? You have GitHub Copilot, you have Microsoft Copilot. Other than that, Microsoft also provide Copilot Chat. Microsoft Copilot Chat is available as a tool for all Microsoft 365 users. We call it Copilot Chat. If you are using Azure, Azure is a cloud platform from Microsoft. There is Copilot for Azure. There is Copilot for security. And then there are several Copilot extensions. So Copilot ecosystem, Microsoft has built an ecosystem of several Copilots. Okay. There is even something called Copilot Builder if you are building your own agents or if you are building your own AI-based tools, right? So this is overall an ecosystem. But is there a reason why they are using same word, Copilot, multiple times? What do you think? What do you think? Why they are using word Copilot here? Any guess? Copilot means assistant. Treat these tools as your assistant. Yes, you are right. These tools are to be used as your assistant, and they are not supposed to be used on their own independently. Instead, you are expected or somebody is expected to use this tool, right? Okay, with their daily workflows. It's not there to replace the humans, it is to augment them. Okay, like that. Anyways, Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot, you have a free tier available for both of them. For Microsoft Copilot, you just need any Microsoft account like Outlook or Hotmail, etc. For GitHub Copilot, you just need a GitHub account. You can even log in with your Gmail account and get a free tier version of GitHub Copilot as well. Copilot Chat, on the other hand, is available as a part of Microsoft 365 solution, and it is even available with Microsoft Edge browser. So if you use Microsoft Edge, which is the default web browser many of us use, right? You will notice Copilot Chat is already available here with the latest version of Edge. Make sure you have already logged in with your Outlook account or Hotmail account to access Copilot Chat directly from the Edge browser. You can see it here, right? This is part of Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. This is also available. This is available to all 365 users. Now, so how exactly Copilot works? User, you and me, we provide a prompt. So whatever we write in that particular text field, we call it a prompt. Okay. Context collected from code base. Let's say you were currently working on a project. Copilot will try to understand your code base from that particular project, right? That's called context. AI model. AI model will process your request. Now, if you use something like GitHub Copilot, for example, GitHub Copilot already has several agents available, several models available with it. You will notice I have several models already listed here, like Lotus Sonnet, GPT-5, GPT-5.4 Mini, and there are a few other models available already, okay, that I can choose from. You can choose a particular model to do your work. Let me try a different project folder now. So many folders created so far now. Wait a second, let's go back. I'll use this e-commerce application that I have built with Copilot itself, right? This project I'll open here. This is a Java project. It's totally fine if you don't know Java as a language. Just say this is a language, this is a source code. Okay. What I can do now, a Copilot knows context-aware things. Okay. So let's say this particular project is already open. Okay. And I'll just ask Copilot a general question. Create a project documentation in Markdown format. Use file name. Sorry. use file name readme.md. Use file readme.md at root folder in this workspace. Okay, I use a prompt. Now this is called a prompt. Let me use a smaller model for this, GPT-5 mini. Okay, so create a project documentation in a markdown format and use file name readme.md at the root. Now I don't want this file here. What I'll do is for Java project, the file that actually provide information about the current project is pom.xml. So I have this file open right now. And I'm asking Copilot to generate a README, but I guess there is already a README file here. Let's do one thing. Let's delete this README file. Okay. Now I'm asking Copilot to generate a README file for the project. Now, what is a context? GitHub Copilot is a developer tool, and it already always know what project is currently open in your current workspace, right? So it will go and read the workspace, what all files are open, and you can see it's creating its own plan and implementing it. Finally, you will get a README file somewhere here. You can see this is the README file generated now. Let's keep the file. And you will notice GitHub Copilot is able to understand this. Copilot already knew that it's a Java Spring Boot project named e-commerce app, right? It has pom.xml file. It has these many packages. It even knows what these packages do, like there is a service, repository, entity package. It even knows how to build this project. Are you getting my point? Right? So it knows the context. The generated response is directly placed in file. It can generate a markdown file. It can generate a Java file, .NET file, whatever type of files you ask Copilot to generate. Now, developer workflow. Can Copilot understand the requirements? Yes. You can give Copilot your project requirements. Copilot will understand the requirements and create the plan. You can ask Copilot to generate the code. You can ask Copilot to generate the test cases, Copilot to debug your existing project build fail, documentation, and refactoring. Okay, but before we actually use this, I will give you a small demo later on. Okay, prompt engineering basic. What exactly is a prompt engineering? Please remember, Copilot is a tool, right? Just like your IDE, Eclipse, Visual Studio is a tool, Copilot is also a tool. And there are people who are master in using particular tool. Like there are people I have seen, there are some people who use VI editor in Unix or Linux to do all kind of text editing, and they are master at it. VI text editor is a plain text editor, right? Which has thousands of plugins available, and it's a CLI based command line interface. No mouse, nothing, but still they are master in it. How do you become a master in AI? Using AI, okay, consuming AI, prompt engineering. Your prompt should be specific. Your prompt should provide a context. You should define a constraint, specify the output format, and iterate the prompt if required. Now, what do you mean by be specific? Asking a non-specific question or asking a question like I have a fear of Python, right? Is actually not a specific, not a directly targeting question. There are multiple meanings of it. Who's Python? It could be a programming language, right? It could be a Python, the snakes in general, or Python might be the name of my neighbor's dog. Are you getting my point? You have to specify that, right? Or otherwise, what will happen? Copilot or your AI tool will generate a response and you are like, no, this is a hallucinated code. It's not true. I don't want to know about Python programming language or Python, the type of snake. I'm talking about Python, a dog who's called Python, right? Then you have to be very specific. You have to say that my neighbor has a dog named Python, right? and I'm so much afraid of it. Then it will give you a correct response. Provide a context. What are you talking about? If you are talking about Python, specify the context behind it. Are you talking about a programming language? Are you talking about a kind of a snake? Or are you talking about a dog named Python? Provide the context there. Define the constraint. You can even specify what you don't want, right? Like write a question about Python and then write down there, Python in this context is a programming language, or I don't want to talk about language. It should be rest of the things. Define the constraint. Specify what output you want. Like for README file, I specified I want README file in Markdown format, right? So you have to specify what format you want. And in case if you do not get proper response, what you can do is you can iterate over the prompt. You can just ask one more question or just repeat the prompt with some few changes. I'll show you an example. I'll build a simple Java REST API application, right, using Copilot. I can build this application with Microsoft Copilot as well, but Copilot will just generate the code and ask me to copy that code into my IDE. If I do the same thing with GitHub Copilot can simply add it directly to the current workspace. So let me show you an example of how do we use Copilot for generating a code. Small live demo. And then we'll talk about security practices. I know we have less time now, so I'll try to be as possible. So this is demo 009, and it's an empty folder. And let's see in this empty folder, Copilot a question. Generate a Spring, not Spring. Okay, let's use Spring Boot project. A Spring Boot project for, let's say, a book library. It should create, or it should be a REST APIs. Okay, it should be a backend, let's say, with REST APIs. Example, API/books, API/members, and API/issues. Okay. Use in-memory database.
Mahendra, quick time check, like we have 5 more minutes.
Okay, fine. I'll just wind it up. Yeah.
Sure.
So I will just use the prompt, press enter, and wait for Copilot to generate the entire sample project for me. Okay. So Copilot will first create a plan, right? A project plan, project skeleton, and then you can see the steps. This is all it has to implement. It will follow through all the steps, generate the file, and all the files will be placed right here inside this current workspace. Okay, it will write the code for me. But please remember one thing, when it comes to Copilot or when it comes to AI, general AI, there are few things you should remember. There are some security considerations you should pay attention to. While it is generating a code, let me do one thing, because we have lesser time available with us. Let me tell you last point about security consideration. Even though you are using AI for generating a code, please review the code generated by AI. Okay, you cannot blindly accept the code generated by AI. You have to review it manually. There is also a risk of sensitive data exposure. What is sensitive data? Like your database connection strings. There could be a licensing concern. You might be using a kind of a framework or library or some third-party tool or third-party framework for which you do not actually have a license, right? There could be vulnerabilities. AI-generated code might actually contain vulnerabilities. There could be compliances issues. Compliances are basically some of the conditions you have from your organization or from your client, right? You should avoid sharing secrets. Secret means database username, password, API access tokens. You should avoid sharing these type of secrets with AI tool, or you should avoid exposing them in your code. You should follow secure coding standards, validate the generated code, and use approved environments only. Okay, fine. Let's go back here and let's see how much of code is generated by GitHub Copilot. You can see GitHub Copilot has generated my pom.xml file, target, and this is the source code repository here. Here it is. These are the REST controllers created, and this is the JPA code written by AI. There are several files created, 13 files. Click keep button and it will keep them all. And if required, you can even ask Copilot to generate test cases for them. Right? Let's generate unit test, and Copilot will generate the unit test for your controller class now. GitHub Copilot is a developer-friendly tool designed for developers, whereas Microsoft Copilot is a generic tool. Here it is. The test cases are generated, and if you are a Java developer, you can understand this code which is being written by Copilot here. It's a JUnit test cases. You can ask Copilot to save this into a test folder, right, with a proper file name and all. Any questions, queries, anyone? Hello?
One
Any
question we
questions?
have is in the chat.
Wait a second. Fintech companies be able to integrate AI with their system on deeper levels, so much so that replacing human, as there is no so much security concern and fintech deals with sensitive data. No, whenever it comes to sensitive data sensitivity, humans are not going to be replaced with AI because organizations do not have, right, a complete, you can say, uh, uh, faith in tools for this type of secret data yet or sensitive data yet. Please remember one thing, as far as developer productivity tools like Copilots are concerned, Copilot itself do not actually recommend organizations to replace humans. But yes, what will happen and what is already happening now is organizations are now reducing their overall, you can say, team size. So earlier, a project was handled by, let's say, team of 20 individuals. What will happen in future is now it will be handled by team of 5 engineers with AI instead of 20 engineers without AI. So this is what the future is, right? And these people or these organizations, fintech organizations, basically companies, they will put or they will create their own compliances, like what AI tools should be used, what features should be enabled, what features should not be enabled, and many AI tools, right, like Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot, on organization level, they provide some kind of organization policy creation. So what organizations will do? Organizations will put certain compliances and policies within their AI usage. And you and me as an individual person with AI tools, we will be given this type of compliances. Like the tool you are using here, okay, will have a limited scope, or you can say a constrict, a restriction policy is in place. Okay. Yes. So AI usage will be there. Humans are not totally replaced, but you need people who know how to use AI effectively. Is that clear? Okay. AI will be used as a tool. And please remember one thing. Unfortunately, even now, if something goes wrong, nobody blames tool for it, right? It is blamed on person who's using the tool. You cannot say that my IDE deleted my project. You were working on a project in Eclipse and you accidentally deleted your source folder. You can't blame it on Eclipse, right? You can blame it on person who was using Eclipse. Is that clear? And that's why you should know AI. Because the same task which you are doing without AI, which might take couple of, let's say, a week, another person with AI can complete same task in just couple of days instead of couple of weeks, right? And with better code quality.